Hello, good morning, and good afternoon, my fellow chefs. Welcome to June's episode of Fresh for Kids, and we are definitely bringing the freshness today. We are going to make two different recipes, actually, using one of my very favorite pieces of produce, the cucumber. They are so delicious and they are so good for you. So when I say piece of produce, I say that because most people would think, of course, that a cucumber is a vegetable, simply based on the fact that most often it is used in savory dishes. However, it's not a vegetable. It's actually a fruit. It flowers and it has seeds inside of it. So that's something that you learned today, right? So cucumbers are, like I said, very, very good for you. They are almost all water. So even if you can't get in your 8 glasses of water every day, if you eat cucumbers, you are definitely ingesting a whole lot of water that you aren't even thinking about. So what we are going to make today, like I said, we're making 2 recipes. We are going to make a cucumber salad, and we're going to make cucumber lemonade, and it is so delicious. I made some at home, and I'm telling you, I will be making it again and again. Very cool and refreshing for the summertime. And that's when you are going to see the majority of cucumbers. Of course, here in Florida, we can grow them a little more year-round than other parts of the country, but they definitely are out in full force in the summertime, from your garden maybe at home, and of course at the supermarket or produce stand. You will be seeing lots of them, and the selection that I had at Publix today was phenomenal. So what we are going to need to get started, of course, cucumbers. We are going to need 3 cucumbers for our lemonade recipe, and then we will need 3 for our cucumber salad. Of course, lemons for our lemonade. We need about 2 cups of lemon juice. And for me, that was about 6 lemons. But of course, every piece of produce or fruit is going to be different, and you will get varying levels of juice from them. So in our recipe today, because we were using a specific number of cups of juice, you might need to play around with it based on the yield of juice that you get from them. Of course, we are going to be using sugar for our lemonade. And that's really all we need for the lemonade: sugar, water, lemons, and cucumbers. Of course, we will need a few extra things for a cucumber salad. We'll be adding some sweet onion to it, salt and pepper, a little bit of garlic, and I like a little bit of a kick of heat in mine, so I'm going to put a little bit of crushed red pepper in there. We will also be using some fresh ingredients, cold from our refrigerator. We'll also be using sour cream and fresh dill. In addition to our ingredients, we of course need some tools to get the job done for us. First off, of course, our cutting board and a knife to chop all this delicious produce up. We are going to need a big bowl and a strainer to strain the cucumber pulp from the juice, and a measuring cup, of course, for our lemon juice. This is called a reamer, and this is what I'm going to use to get all that delicious juice out of those lemons. Of course, a bowl and something to stir with for our cucumber salad, and our food processor to make our cucumber juice. That's a lot, right? Yes, indeed. That's a lot of stuff on our counter, but I can promise you that it's actually going to be much easier. And I don't know if you checked out my cool new shirt. It says mise en place, which of course is our process by which we make sure we have all of our ingredients and we have them ready for you. The mise en place process is wonderful. Please trust it. If you do it right, the recipe will almost put itself together. So I'm going to start prepping everything, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. And we are back. So here's how you're going to go about getting your cucumber juice for your cucumber lemonade. You are going to cut your cucumbers into slices very simply. It does not have to be pretty. They're all going to turn into what looks like this, basically cucumber pulp. So depending on the size of your food processor, you might have to do it in batches, which is definitely what I've done here today so that I can get all of my cucumbers in there. So I ran it through and I did it on puree until it came out about this consistency right here, kind of like mush. And I put it on my strainer over top of a big measuring cup so I'll know exactly when I get to 2 cups. This part of the process definitely does take a little bit longer than anything else while you're making your lemonade. So it's best to start this pretty much at the beginning, and then you can do everything else while the liquid drains from your cucumber pulp. What I've also done ahead of time is I took 2 cups of water, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and I put it on my stovetop to melt that sugar down or dissolve it into the water because it's very sciencey. Here's what happens. If you put sugar into cold water, you can mix it up and you think it's dissolved, right? It is not. It's just suspended in the liquid until it has a chemical reaction where it can actually dissolve, and it can't do that unless it gets hot. So I put it on my stovetop, put it together and turned up the heat just about to a boil. You don't actually have to bring it to a boil, just long enough that it's hot and all the sugar dissolves. You can also do this in your microwave if it's a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to let this strainer with cucumber pulp sit, of course, like I said, until I have 2 cups. I am also going to juice my lemons on my reamer until I have 2 cups of that. So while my water is chilling and my cucumbers are draining, we will work on our recipe for cucumber salad, which is an excellent thing to be able to bring to all your summertime parties. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with more on that. Hello, we are back and we are just about ready to put all of our ingredients in our lemonade together. You may have noticed that I put an apron on, and here's why. You know that lemons are excellent for cleaning products, right? I bet you have smelled some of the cleaning products that your grown-ups have used around the house, and a lot of them probably do smell like lemon, with good reason. Lemon juice is very, very strong, and if you splash it on yourself, it can actually remove the color of some fabrics. So it's always safe to put an apron on so that things like that don't happen. I don't want to ruin my cool new mise en place shirt, so I put my apron on. Another thing that maybe your parents who grew up in the 80s might remember is all the times we put lemon juice in our hair and went into the sun to try to get blonde streaks. That is the power of lemon juice, my friends. So we have our 2 cups of cucumber juice. Isn't that cool looking? And we have just about 2 cups of lemon juice, but I wanted to show you how to use this reamer just in case you've never used one before. So of course you're going to cut your lemons in half after you've rolled them on the counter. You guys remember that trick I taught you, right? In order to get the most juice out of any citrus fruit, you want to kind of push down a little bit hard and roll it on your counter to loosen up the pulp on the inside so it will release all that delicious juice. So after you've cut it in half, you can pick out any of the seeds that you see right there at the top surface. That way you're getting those out of the way. Nobody wants lemon seeds in their lemonade. And then once you've cut it in half, you'll take your reamer, put it right there on top, of course, holding the bottom of the jar very securely. You don't want it sliding around. And then you're just going to push down and twist until you get all of the juice out of it. And then you're all finished. Now the lemon rinds you can use for all kinds of other fresh scent reasons. One little trick you can do if you have a stinky garbage disposal, you can put part of a lemon rind down in there and grind it up, and it will brighten things up right away. So we're going to pour this slowly. Again, I want to make sure I don't get any seeds in there. And voila, we now have 1 cup of lemon juice. I think I might have said 2 cups earlier, and if I did, please forgive me. We really only want 1. It will be super sour if you put in 2. 1 cup of fresh lemon juice, 2 cups of cucumber juice. Here's our 2 cups of cold water that we dissolved our 3/4 of a cup of sugar into and put in the refrigerator so it's cold. So we're gonna pour everything together. 1 cup and 2 cups. And this cucumber juice smells so good. The whole room in here smells like cucumbers now. All right, so we put all that together. Now we are going to stir it up. It's definitely going to have some lemon pulp in there. And one thing you will notice when you put this into your refrigerator, the cucumber juice is a little bit heavier than everything else that's in there. So it will settle to the bottom of whatever pitcher, cup, container that you have it in. So you just want to give it a nice stir before you use it. And it is so delicious poured over ice. If for whatever reason you taste it and it feels like it's just a little too intense for you, too much lemon, too much cucumber, too much sugar, you can just add a little bit more water to it and it will tone it down. But definitely pouring it over ice will not only chill it, but it will dilute that flavor a little bit if you feel like it's a little too strong for you. So I'm going to put that back in the refrigerator to get it all cold and marry those flavors together. And what about all that cucumber pulp? I know that's what you're thinking, right? Yes. And when I made this at home, I just couldn't bear to throw away all that cucumber pulp because it still had a lot of flavor left in it. And so what I did is I kept it and I made a fresh salad using some of the other vegetables that I had in my refrigerator. So what I added to it at home, I had some cherry tomatoes. I cut those in half and I added some radishes and some chives. I put a little bit of ranch, some salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic, and it is so delicious. Now, if you don't like those ingredients, maybe there's other things that you would like to put in your salad, but I can promise you it's going to be really good. And it's a way to have 0 waste for this recipe. So now that we've got our lemonade all finished, we're gonna put that in the refrigerator to chill and we are gonna start on cucumber salad. See you in a minute. We are back and we are ready to put together this delicious cucumber salad. This, of course, is one of those recipes too where if there's anything that we put in here today that maybe you don't love, you can always substitute it with something else. Cucumbers are just such a refreshing, delightful thing to have during the summertime when it's really hot outside. Did you know that the average temperature inside of a cucumber is up to 20 degrees cooler than the air around it? Isn't that amazing? And that is where the term cool as a cucumber came from. So how I'm cutting up my cucumbers, you can really cut them however you like. But I am cutting them into these little half moons or mezzalunas, if you will, because it's a better bite. Sometimes when you have that whole slice, it can be really overwhelming and not as easy to eat. And we're going to do the same thing with the onions. Of course, if you want to use whole rounds and whole rings for your onions, absolutely up to you. You could even, using our slices, sticks, dices method that we've learned a couple weeks ago, or a couple of months ago really, you can use that to cut them into small cubes if you like. However crafty you feel like getting with your knife cuts. But what I did is I chopped off my ends and then I cut it in half lengthwise, and then I'm just going to take my knife and cut it just like this until we work our way through all of those cucumbers. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with my onions. Again, especially with onions, it's such a strong taste that you don't want to have too large of a piece of that or it gets a little overwhelming. All right, so once I have all these veggies chopped up, I'll be right back and I'll show you all the other delicious things we're gonna put in this bowl and make some cucumber salad magic. So we have a bowl here full of half moon onions and cucumbers. So to that, we are gonna add a few other delicious ingredients. We have 1/4 cup of fresh chopped dill. It smells lovely. If you love pickles, you probably like dill a lot. All right, and again, if dill is not your jam, maybe there's another herb that you really like. Maybe you like parsley or cilantro, oregano, basil. Any of those fresh herbs would be super delicious in this also. This recipe is almost more like a traditional German cucumber salad, but feel free to make any interpretations on it that you like. We are also going to add 2 tablespoons of white vinegar just to give it a little bit of an acid pop, because we are using sour cream, which is very fatty and very heavy and rich. So that acid in the vinegar is going to balance that out so it's not too heavy with the cream. And of course, if you are lactose intolerant, there are plenty of options that you could use in place of just a traditional sour cream. We are going to use some kosher salt or sea salt. Almost time to buy some more of that. All right. And of course, salt and pepper is one of those 2 taste ingredients, which just simply means that you just add it until your taste buds say, hey, that is the perfect amount. Some people like a lot of salt, some people only like a little. Same with pepper. Some people like a lot, some people like a little. So I'm just gonna put just a light amount of black pepper, but because I do like a little bit of a heat kick, I'm going to add just a little bit of red pepper flakes to it. We'll also add just a jazz bit of color in there. The red and green will offset each other. And I'm going to add some garlic powder. You could also use fresh garlic if you've got it. And then we're gonna fold all this together. I'm gonna fold it kind of gently because we don't want to mush up our cucumbers. Ooh, it smells really, really good. And you'll want to mix, and when you're folding, of course, you want to go from the side using your rubber scraper to the bottom and just sort of lift up gently until everything is fully incorporated. All that dill is spread out evenly. Your sour cream is coating every single piece of cucumber and onion in this bowl. Oh, this is going to be so good. I have been eating this recipe since I was a really small kid, and it's always been one of my very, very favorite things. Of course, I am from Ohio, so the only time we really got great cucumbers was in the summertime when we planted them in our garden. So it's really nice living in Florida because I can make this recipe all year long with all the great cucumbers that we are lucky enough to have down here. There are some other really fun facts about cucumbers that you might not know. I know I mentioned a couple of them already, but one of them is that the waxy coating on the outside of cucumbers can actually erase pencil marks. Isn't that crazy? It's so true. So you just rub the skin over it and it can erase writing. But here's another thing about the waxy surface of cucumbers that you should always keep in mind when you're bringing them home from the store. Most produce that you're going to be using skin on, potatoes for one, anything like that, you can just rinse off really in cold water and you're pretty good. But anything that has a really thick, waxy skin, like a cucumber or a plum or maybe an apple, those you might want to actually consider not just rinsing with water, but actually washing them with a little bit of soap and cold water, not hot water. You don't want to compromise the flesh on the inside of the produce, but that waxy substance can pick up a lot of things as it travels from the farm where it's grown to the store where you purchase it. So better to be safe than sorry, and make sure you wash it really, really well before you use it. It is also said, and if you've seen any of those crazy videos online, cats are very, very scared of cucumbers. I have not ever tried this trick with my cats because It's kind of mean, but I have definitely laughed at some of those videos. And I told you already how much of a difference in temperature there can be from the inside of the cucumber to the outside. So that is another reason why they are so refreshing on a hot summer day. And another really funny thing about cucumbers, if you have problems with your bathroom mirror fogging up while you take a shower, you can rub cucumbers on your mirror while it's dry and it will keep them from fogging up. It's crazy. I can't promise you they won't be streaked, but they won't be steamed up. So I am going to put this delicious cucumber salad into the refrigerator until it is time to eat, but it's going to be so delicious. I can't wait to dig into that and have a nice cool bit of cucumber lemonade on the side. I hope that you guys have so much fun making these recipes, and we will see you next time on Fresh for Kids. Have a great day.